All right, let's do show number 2. It's injury board time here on Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. It's become now a little bit of a Tuesday staple. It makes sense schematically for me because Monday night is a day when I really get my bearings again for the work week, the school week, whatever you want to call it. School week. Guilty. That's what we call it over here. It's an opportunity to make sure that the injury board is fully up to date. There's usually a pretty good size number of games on Monday, anywhere from like 7 to 11. So we get a lot of changes, a lot of turnover, and a chance for you guys to see where I value some of these replacement level dudes. And there are a lot of them right now that we're going to talk about on today's show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No. It's like 20-ish. I'm rounding. I don't feel like doing an actual count on here. Welcome, everybody. This show, of course, is brought to you by FanDuel and the FanDuel Sportsbook. We are a Believe Network podcast. I am Dan Besbris, at Dan Besbris on Twitter. Please find me. I never bothered to change my Twitter handle to not have my weird last name in it. So if you spell it, you can have it. You can also just Google Dan Old Man Squad. Now filter through the sexy stuff and then find me. And then you're good to go. Probably put the word Twitter in there also. I will not call it by its new name. It's never happening. Sorry. Or maybe I'm not. In any event, let's get going. The burger board, as you guys have come to know, or those that are new perhaps don't. If you're new, by the way, like and subscribe. Even if you're old, you should like. And if you're old and you haven't subscribed, you should do that too. The burger board is an assessment of the value of injury backups. These are players that, under normal circumstance, when their teams are healthy, they are not everyday fantasy players. These are guys that, because someone or someones are out on their team, these players move into startable in all formats. I've had a question asked of me before we get into the actual names, and I think this is actually a really important fantasy note to make before we actually talk about an individual player. What is this board most useful for? And the answer is a little bit of everything. It leans a bit towards games cap players because this board helps you find the guys with the best individual per game upside. So you're not as worried about what schedule they have. You're worried about how good they're going to be when they actually play. Some of these guys on the board, you might only get one really big game out of. I don't know if Isaiah Stewart is going to be a massive fill-in guy for Tobias Harris again tomorrow. Is that when the Pistons play? I've forgotten. I don't know if AD or Lively is going to be back in the next ball game. Probably not, but like Daniel Gafford, we'll talk about all these guys in a minute. This is not a board that tells you the best volume plays. Now, if some of these guys happen to have this schedule or this opportunity and a good schedule, boy, that's the holy matrimony of streaming goodness. That works for all formats. But I think, personally, that at this part of the year, we're in week 3, I would rather have some of these really impactful per-game guys over just churning that roster spot. Because typically we all have 2 or 3 roster spots in our team that we're not totally married to. If you can turn 1 or 2 of those into, say, Ryan Rollins and Tre Jones and just stream the third one, that's probably your best path to winning at the beginning of your head-to-head season. As opposed to trying to roster churn 2 or 3 different spots, you're going to miss out on good stuff. You're going to drop guys you shouldn't have dropped. And it's going to hurt you long term. And by the way, I don't think it gives you that much of an advantage even in the short term. 3 games of Tre Jones so far this year, or 3 games of Ryan Rollins, is as good as 4 games of most off-the-bench streamer types. That's how good they've been. Let's dive into the names on the board. We'll start over with the no burgers section, which is guys that I'm either still not fully committed to or I think sit in the 100 to 150 range. And those names are Sam Merrill, who's out right now. Although, by the way, good news. Darius Garland sounds like he's getting set to come back as soon as tomorrow, potentially. There'll be a ramp up, but that's going to hurt everybody else in Cleveland that was getting to do extra stuff. When Sam Merrill was back, He's really a three-point specialist, so I'm not that worried about it. Collin Murray-Boyles out in Toronto is filling in for Jakob Poeltl, who's questionable, so this little mini run might be done. He was fine in one game. He was not that good in the other. I don't think that he was going to be inside a top 100 streaming play, and I wouldn't do anything about it right now anyway. Davion Mitchell started as a two-burger guy and has just been slowly petering out. So sad. I really thought we had something there. He was my second favorite burger board guy coming into the season behind Grayson Allen, who I have everywhere. I have so much Grayson Allen, it's crazy. I was like, this is the guy I'm taking in my 13th round pick because I think he's going to be top 75 until Jalen Green comes back. And damn it, it worked. But Davion Mitchell came out of the gates with a whopper of a first ball game, and he's been pretty damn pedestrian since then. The steals haven't been as high as we hoped for. He's shooting, I can't even fathom this, 30%. He's 3 for 10 at the free throw line. Super weird. Probably doesn't stick long term, but also you weren't planning on holding him long term. The hope was that you could get something good out of Davion Mitchell when Tyler Hero was out. And then Norman Powell went down. And despite all of that, he really hasn't been that impressive. I like the 8 assists, but it's literally the only thing that he's better than league average at right now. Right around league average in steals. Slightly better. So I stretched the truth just a little bit there. So I think Davion Mitchell's actually an outside the top 100 guy stream while Tyler Hero's out. Assist specialist, yes. Full bore stream in all formats, no. And then Rui Hachimura, who I'll admit I was a little bit too high on coming in. He bumped himself back up to number 93 on the season thanks to a very large performance with no anybody for the Lakers in Portland. No LeBron, no Luka, no Reeves in that last ball game. Rui's also shooting 59% from the field. That's probably not going to hold. His rebounds are down because DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic together are a much better rebounding duo than Jackson Hayes and question mark. Because Doncic is going to grab a ton of rebounds. He's at 11.5 so far this year. Ayton's at 8. Those two guys are taking them all. So Rui, that's his path to a little more value, and he's at 4 rebounds in 36 minutes a game. That's pretty bad. Austin Reeves is at freaking 5. Rui, you got to do better. You got to crash the glass. I know he's been a pillar of offensive efficiency, but you got to crash the glass. A lot of Lakers are shooting over their heads so far this year. That's going to come back to earth, and they better be ready to rebound when it does. So Rui, I think outside top 100, typically with no LeBron for the duration here, whatever that is, 2 weeks left with no LeBron, we're thinking. Not quite one burger. One burger, as we scroll gently to the right, are guys that I believe will have fill-in value somewhere between 75 and 100. And this is all, I mean, there's some fuzzy mathing going on. It's an inaccurate, it's a best hypothesis kind of spot because there's only so accurate I can be between 75 and 100. Those guys are all very close to each other in overall rank. Dillon Brooks was one of my favorites in this range before he got hurt. I left him on there with the orange color coding, just like Sam Merrill, because if he comes back and Jalen Green is still out, I would play him as a one-burger guy. You're just going to have to figure out who comes back before who else. Jake LaRavia is a really good, solid play these days. He's number 91 on the season. He's obviously been better than that lately since his minutes went through the roof. He's a second rounder over his last 4 ball games, shooting a ridiculous 71% from the field and over 3 defensive stats per ball game. None of these things is going to hold. 33 minutes is not going to hold. You're going to see those numbers come down with Luka and Reeves in exclusively. He did pick up a lot of the Gabe Vincent minutes, so that's been useful for him, but he's on a heater like nobody's business. So yeah, he's rolling at a 3-burger clip over 4 days, but you should expect him to settle into the 1-burger zone. And then I don't know if there are going to be any juicy burgers left once LeBron is back around. Collin Sexton is a 1-burger guy with Brandon Miller out. He didn't play as well as we hoped when LaMelo Ball also sat out, but I would assume he probably could be a 2-burger guy when both of those dudes are down because of the extra assists. When it's just Brandon Miller out, he's just going to score mostly on pretty good efficiency. That probably puts him in the 90 to 100 range. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the next name on the board. He's got a good month here where he's going to put up some nice numbers with no Tre Young. Alexander-Walker, he's been rolling at a kind of a top 100-ish range because he doesn't hit 3-pointers, but he's a good free throw guy, good defensive stats guy. A lot of things I think that we can build on with him. And he's landed somewhere in the 85 range on the season to this point, which I think is fairly repeatable with no Trae Young. That makes him a one-burger cat. DeAndre Hunter, and this one is going to take a little bit of a hit because Darius Garland coming back puts a dent into the DeAndre Hunter usage train, which is where all of his value is coming from. Over the last week, he's averaging 16-plus shots per game. Jalen Tyson's at 13. Like, these are going to dry up a bit with Darius Garland back. I don't think they're going to go away completely. He's still going to score, but he has to score a lot to cover up the fact that he's mostly just points, a few rebounds on decent percentages. So I think Hunter probably settles back in the top 100 range once Garland is healthy. Once Max Strus is around, I don't think he's going to be playable anymore, but he's still a hold guy for now. And until Garland is playing full minutes, he might even be kind of at the front end of that one-burger zone, more like 75 as opposed to 100. Jaime Jaquez, and there's a bunch more names in the one-burger zone, so fear not, we got a few more here. Jaime Jaquez saw his value take a bit of a hit with Norman Powell coming back. He's number 111 over the last week, despite really good shooting percentages, mostly because the steals have come back to earth. Overall on the year, Jaime is number 84, so that puts him firmly in the one-burger zone. He's been a good field goal percent guy. He's been a good scoring, rebound, assist guy. No threes, not great free throw. Turnovers a little bit on the high side for what his job is. But overall, that balances out to a pretty good overall fantasy play. And I think a really good head-to-head fantasy play, because you could just say, well, I don't like, you could punt threes, for instance. He's been a brilliant punt threes addition to a team. He's been a very good guy who, if you're not that worried about free throw percent, or frankly, because he's not that bad at free throw, like, you just say, oh, well, you know, maybe I catch him on a slightly better week. So head-to-head, he's been, I think, better than in Roto, but he's been good enough in both. And I think he's playable until Tyler Hero comes back, at which point usage is going to take a pretty good size hit, and then I'm not convinced. But for now, keep it going. Jarace Walker, and this is just because everybody's out for Indiana, but if you want to really pare down on what has caused Jarace Walker to take that big leap forward into usage town, it was Obi Toppin, believe it or not. So it took two. Benedict Mathurin going down opened up all the usage. Obi Toppin going down knocked out the competition for that same set of usage. Because now it's Siakam, and then nobody else can create anything on this team. It's Siakam and a whole bunch of we don't knows. So Jarace Walker's getting a shot. Over the last week, he's second on the team in assists behind Pascal Siakam. He's only shooting 36% over that stretch. That's why he's outside the top 140. But if he's shooting like even 43%, I don't need it to be good. That still puts him firmly inside the top 100. And I think it's going to stick until Mathurin comes back. Even a Nembhard return probably doesn't completely wipe out Walker. It probably does hurt the assists, but likely helps some of the other stuff. And Indy's been not particularly forthcoming with when their guys might magically return. So get Jarace Walker on your team and see how it goes. Isaiah Stewart is the next name on the one-burger board. Really, this is, and obviously the one game he played without Tobias Harris was far better than a one-burger game. He's in the one-burger zone because I just don't think we're going to miss Tobias all that much. It was a right ankle sprain. He was basically a game-time call. If you sit out a game-time call, you're often back by the next one. Maybe not. Like, maybe it ends up being slightly worse than we think. I find it hard to believe that Stewart can... I find it hard to believe that Tobias is going to be out for all that long. Now, with Stewart, he's top 50 in 25 minutes a game over the last week. Fully unsustainable, almost 3 blocks a game over that stretch. But on the season, he's number 75. The issue there is, and people might go, hey, this guy's top 75 on the season. First of all, 2.3 blocks in 24 minutes a game. That's not going to hold. Second of all, the big bump in minutes has largely come because, one, he just got to play 30-something with Tobias Harris out, and 3 of the first 4 games he got to play big minutes because Jalen Duren was in foul trouble or ejected. The in-between, you have to find the in-betweens here on Beef Stew, as he is so affectionately known, absolute lunatic of a basketball player. The games where the Pistons' big men, if you want to call Tobias Harris, a big men, were in the lineup, not ejected, and not in foul trouble, He played 17 minutes, 21 minutes, and 18 minutes. You might throw a 25er in there. But he's been way out over his skis in shot blocking, and he's had this big bump in opportunity that's not going to hold over a longer term. So don't get too far out. Like, don't get too excited about the Isaiah Stewart thing. Yes, from a fantasy standpoint, he's retooled his game to be very useful in 9-cat, but he needs an opportunity that's not there all the time. Kon Knueppel moved from a 0-burger to a 1-burger guy when LaMelo Ball sat out because he just got a ton of shots and a ton of usage. And if you get a ton of usage, you're going to put up some kind of fantasy value. But for Knueppel, if he's not assisting and getting 15, 16 shots a game, then he's a shooting guard. So he's going to take a bunch of threes. He's probably going to help your free throw percent. The other stuff may be lacking. That's not to say that he won't be decent at some point. I'm a redraft guy to my core. I don't think that with the amount of usage he gets with only Brandon Miller out, I don't think it's enough to get him inside the top 100. And if Miller comes back, I don't think he's going to be close. And finally, and we'll put him in the 1-burger zone for now, I reserve the right to adjust up or down, Jusuf Nurkic, who it wasn't clear, it was semi-clear, in the first game without Walker Kessler. He played like 22-ish minutes, but it was a blowout. And so we really didn't know if he was going to be back for the last 4, 5, 6 minutes of the ball game. Well, in his most recent one, he played 31. That is big time. We have no idea what Walker Kessler's situation is. He went back to Salt Lake City to get more tests done on his shoulder. This could be somebody just saying, hey, man, like, it is what it is. You got to figure out how to deal with it. Or it could be somebody saying, you got to shut this bad boy down. Might be somewhere in the middle. Also, I guess it doesn't have to be at the two polar ends of it. But in the meantime, Nurk should be on rosters. He's turned himself, he's kind of gone like late career Thad Young mode where it's just a lot of rebounds, good assists, good steals. I don't know if he's going to shoot all that much, but he's going to have to. And the beauty part of Utah is even Walker Kessler, who's not that great of a passer, gets assists out of the center spot because that's how the Jazz run their offense. This is tailor-made for Nurk to pile up assists out of the big man spot. I'm not talking about like 7, 8 a ball game, but I'm talking about 3, 4, 5. Most games, I think, can be expected. So 30 minutes a game, you're going to get double-digit rebounds. You're going to get 5 assists out of Nurk, and then anything else beyond that is gravy. And on the earlier show we did today, I referred to him as like Draymond Green, but taking 3-pointers for having a field goal percent that's not bad. Otherwise, I think they're going to have the same fantasy lines. And Draymond is on most rosters. I think he's more of a punt points type of guy, but Nurk should be too. I'd rather have the field goal percent than the threes. Because Draymond didn't hit that, what is he, at 1? He takes them. He doesn't make them. Nurk might end up being a 2-burger guy. I don't know. Let's give him another game to figure it out. I forgot to make that thing at the top disappear. Let's unview the formula bar for now. But it's still there. Is it? Full screen. There we go. Now it's gone. All right. Before we get to the double burgers, which we should start calling them double doubles. Shout out In-N-Out. Looking for sponsors, In-N-Out. Will work for burgers. Seriously, I love In-N-Out hamburgers. Guys, I've talked about it a bunch of times on the show. Everything that you'd need to find is in the show description. Give it a shot. Give it a look. I will be forever in your debt if you just go to the show description because it's got the link to the Patreon, which is just $1 a month. We're trying to get to 500 micro donators, and then we'll basically be done. It's also got the buckets, the link to this thing that you're seeing on your screen. That's in there. That's in the Google Sheet. It's on. Just check all the tabs at the bottom. My Twitter handle is in there. iTunes, Spotify, YouTube feeds are all in there. Our Discord, where I do some of my nightly recaps, more as the season goes. At the beginning of the year, most of them are on social media, but like one a week might roll on into Discord. It's got the Blue Sky handle if you're jamming over there. Instagram, everything in the show description. Please do check that out, especially consider the $1 Patreon. And again, today I'm going to turn on YouTube subs. You get nothing for it, but it's just if you don't want to have to go to another website, I'll try to make it a little bit easier for you guys. And I should have done this a month ago, but I was like, I don't want to do that. That seems like more work. Oops. This show is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel and the FanDuel Sportsbook. Check that out today, if you want to get down on what team were we just talking about? The Jazz, they're not playing tonight. Too bad. What about if you want to, you think the Bulls bounce back after taking their first loss of the year? What do you think? That was on Sunday, right? What was that ball game? Who'd they lose to? The Knicks? Yeah, lost to the Knicks. Do you think the Bulls bounce back, or do you think that first loss was the thing that kind of starts to tip them a little bit? Well, good news for you. The Bulls are laying 1.5 at home to the upstart Philadelphia 76ers. That's right. I called them upstart. The team with Joel Embiid is an upstart program. That's available over at FanDuel. You can check out everything else that they got going over there. They got Parlay Builder. They got Rain and Buckets. They got awards, futures, all that kind of stuff. You got NBA Cup if you want. What are some of the awards right now? Shea is still the chalky MVP guy. Wemby's moved into second place. Don't be surprised if Luka's in the mix. And Jokic somehow fourth in MVP odds at plus 500. I've taken us down a path that has lasted too long. Let's get back to the double burgers because those are the ones that you guys want to hear about the most. There are a few. Grayson Allen, he's been on this board for a little bit. No huge surprise there. I think his role right now is very solidified with no Jalen Green, no Dillon Brooks. I know overall he's number 81, but he's shooting 41%. If that ticks up even 2-3 percentage points, he's a top 50 guy. 16.5 points, 3.5 boards, 5 assists, a steal, 3.5 3-pointers. He's a couple field goal percent ticks away from being the guy we wanted. And we'll jump over the next name. I don't know why I separated the two Phoenix Suns, but Royce O'Neale is the other one. Now, he's not going to hold this when guys start coming back. The difference between O'Neale and Grayson Allen is that one of those guys could probably withstand a Dillon Brooks return, that one being Grayson Allen. When Brooks was playing, Royce wasn't really. His minutes jacked up when Dillon Brooks went down. His involvement in everything the Suns were doing jacked up when Brooks went down. And so, which basically over the last week, Royce is number 45. 14 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 1.3 steals. He's at 4 threes a ball game. He's going to be the first one to take a hit, but right now, he is rolling top 50. I need Grayson to make some damn shots, though. Making me look like an idiot for having him in the 2-burger zone, but I like eventually they're going to go in. Just got to have it happen before we run out of time. If you're wondering why Kelly Oubre is color-coded in in a very light pink, it's because his area on the burger board bounces around based on Joel Embiid rest days. And we'll throw Paul George's name on that board as well. So for Oubre, when Embiid rests, he's easily a 2-burger guy. When Embiid plays, he's still startable, but what we don't know is how good he's going to look when Paul George is in. Is it going to ruin Kelly Oubre? Is it going to ruin Quentin Grimes? Is it going to hurt these guys but not ruin them? Is it going to do anything to VJ Edgecombe, who's also been playing a lot? How are they going to mix and match these? I'm on top of the fact that Jared McCain is set to make his season debut tonight for Philly, which is likely going to take a little bit away from Maxey and a little bit away from Edgecombe because, look, as great as these guys have been, they don't Tyrese Maxey is playing 42 minutes a ball game. That is not a sustainable number. VJ Edgecombe is a rookie playing 39 minutes a game. These numbers have to come down or those dudes are going to fall apart by midseason. And Jared McCain and Paul George are going to play a pretty good sized role in that, but they're not alone because Oubre's playing 38 minutes a game also. So with Kelly, I don't really know where he belongs on the burger board in terms of how many patties he's worth. But when Embiid is out, he's definitely a 2-burger guy. When Embiid is back in, he might sniff it anyway. Maybe more of a 1-burger guy. Either way, he's playable, and we'll reassess when Paul George comes back. Ryan Rollins has been amazing. He was slowed a little bit in his last ball game. Obviously, did more the day that Giannis sat, but overall, he's just been very, very good. Rollins is number 43 overall on the year. I would argue that it kind of feels like he's slowed for like 1 or 2 ball games, but also not really. Field goal percent is through the roof. He's giving you assists, threes, steals, and field goal percent. That's a crazy elite combination of categories to get. And you've got another 3 weeks of him at least before Kevin Porter Jr. is sniffing getting back out on the basketball court. This is one of those reasons why the burger board works for all formats. You've got 7 great games of Ryan Rollins already, and you're probably going to get another 10. It's crazy. Like, you're going to get a guy that might sit near the top 50 for a quarter of the season because of the burger board. Maybe more. Tre Jones slowed a little bit. Finally, I guess he couldn't keep up top 25 clip. I had to bump him down to 2 burgers from 1. Well, we kind of knew that 3 steals a game was going to come down a little bit. He's now at 2.2, which is also pretty high, but not crazier things have happened. 6+ assists, 50% from the field, 86% at the free throw line. He doesn't hit 3-pointers, but again, he's a really cool combination of stats for a point guard. He's giving you field goal percent instead of threes is basically the way I see it for guard stats. I love me some Tre Jones. He's going to be great as long as Kobe White is out. We still haven't gotten the reevaluation on Kobe. But, I mean, what are you going to do? You're not going to move off this guy. By the way, while we're talking, Jimmy Butler just got downgraded to questionable. So, good news if you've got Brandon Podziemski, I guess. And finally, who might make his way onto the burger board is the reason I bring it up. Podziemski would be probably a 1-burger guy if Butler sits. And the last name on the board today, there are no triple burgers. There are no 3x3s on this one if we start doing in and out nomenclature, is Daniel Gafford. And I know what you're thinking, Dan. Me, Dan, not Dan Gafford. Dan. Gafford's played 21 minutes a game through his first 2 games this year. Guess what? Daniel Gafford needs 24 minutes a game to be a top 50 guy. Lest we forget some of the recent Daniel Gafford mega runs, they have been ridiculously impressive. Ridiculously impressive. Now, yeah, he tends to do a lot of his damage when the other centers are out. When he's buried behind Derek Lively and or Anthony Davis, getting inside the top 100 tends to be a little hard for him. He sits in that kind of 18, 19-minute range, sometimes doesn't even get to that. But he has, I think, like, to me, he has one of the best big man fantasy games in fantasy basketball. We've seen Gafford go on stretches where he's playing 28, 29 minutes a game, that he's a second rounder. So, like, he has legit triple burger potential, depending on how much his legs can handle before the other big men come back. Do not leave Daniel Gafford on the waiver wire. He is available in way too many leagues after what we saw him do in 24 minutes yesterday. Please go check your wire for Daniel Gafford. He is a beast, an absolute beast who got picked up in a bunch of places last night, so you might not have missed it, but not everywhere. That's the thing. Like, he's still available in leagues. Go get him, even if you only use him for 2 days. There's your injury report. Week 3 injury show. That was a fun one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe on your way out. Go Dodgers. Forgot to say that. My Dodgers are World Series champs 2 years in a row. That was an amazing series. They had no business winning that one either. You Blue Jays fans watching my show, you guys, you should have won that repeatedly. I say should have, but, like, you didn't. But, like, seemingly outplayed them, basically. But you got to get the big hit, and that's how these things go. Playoffs, baseball playoffs are crazy, man. Like, it really comes down to just 1 or 2 key moments. Total coin flip almost every year. Doesn't matter. This is a basketball show. Thanks for watching. At Dan Vespers on Twitter. Consider the Patreon. Consider a YouTube sub. I'm going to try to set that as low as humanly possible. Right now, you get nothing, but I will be doing a subscriber pod this month. We're going to start that. It's going to be a silly one. Not basketball. Might be basketball, but it won't be fantasy focused. There might be some fantasy stuff that comes up, but it's just going to be life. We're just going to talk about fun stuff. I want you guys to get to know me a little bit better. Some people that are in my life, other analysts perhaps. Subscriber pod's going to be total goofballery. In the meantime, let's go pick up some replacements, man. See you guys.